World may be one step closer to knowing exactly where coronavirus came from. Then again, it may not, and an explanation of why is our first story today. I'm Kozu, glad to have you watching. In May of this year, US President Joe Biden gave American intelligence officials 90 days to come up with a report on the origins of coronavirus. The big question word is naturally transmitted from an animal to a human, or what it leaked from a Chinese laboratory into human population. Initially, medical groups like the World Health Organization and the U.S. Center for Disease Control said they believed the virus probably originated in bats, but they jumped to people as other viruses have done. But some members of Congress and the Trump administration called for a closer look at the lab leak theory that the virus escaped from a Chinese research facility into the public. After the Biden administration's 90 days were up for its investigation, the U.S. intelligence agency said they still didn't have a definitive answer. They concluded that either natural origin or lab leak were still plausible, but they didn't think of it were produced as a biological weapon. One thing intelligence and health officials have wanted from the get-go is more information from China. The communist country originally said its scientists didn't encounter COVID until December 2019. A previous intelligence report said workers at a Chinese lab were getting sick and being hospitalized a month after that. Before that, China has not allowed an open investigation by international researchers like the World Health Organization, and even though the nation is about to provide new result from more testing, it will be China's and China's alone that's doing the test. Has no plans to allow people from other countries to participate. Scientists say that what needed to verify what really happens with COVID-19. Tens of thousands of tiny blood samples taken when in Wuhan in the last months of 2019 are still stored in a hospital there. The sample from the blood bank absolutely will contain vital clues. They could potentially be very revelatory. This is the closest to the word that we've seen of real-time samples. The samples may my the samples might reveals when and even where antibodies against the virus first appears in Wuhan in October or November 2 years ago. China say they had to be kept for a legal reason for 2 years in case of lawsuits over the blood transfusions they were from. But now that limit is almost up for the key months of the end of 2019, and a Chinese official confirmed to CNN that China is preparing to test them, echoing a reprimand from July when they said they would share the results. Chinese side also expressed that once they have the results, they will deliver them to both Chinese and foreign expert teams. The samples come from the disposable tubes that carry donor blood into the donor bag, and is something the WHO team said earlier this year they wanted to examine. They could contain vital, detailed information. Might also help us to follow the trajectory of the strain of the virus by tracking the individual who may carry the virus. And we would like to go back to find out exactly during which month this virus started to leave fingerprints in the human population in China. Which of the manufacturing fields employs the most people in the U.S.? Food, machinery, motor vehicle, or computer and electronics? Of these options, the U.S. Labor Department say food manufacturing employs the most people. According to a new report released just a week, the Just this week, almost 3% of the American workforce quit their jobs in August. That's a record. The US Labor Department started keeping track of the quit rate in the year 2000, and this August was the first year that 4.3 million workers left their positions. They didn't all stop working entirely. Many left for new jobs, and this didn't apply evenly in all industries. The quit rates were highest in hotel and food services, also trade workers and state and local government and education employees also increasingly left their jobs. Experts say this happened in part because people feel confident they can get better jobs somewhere else, but it's possible that concern about coronavirus as cases were rising in August also factors in, and did Americans go ongoing challenges in fighting childcare. The United States currently has a major labor shortage, and it's affected several fields from manufacturing and trucking to food service, construction, and education. Americans' number of job openings in July were more than 11 million. That's also a record since the year 2000, but it decreased a little in August to 10.4 million. Experts say the labor shortage contributes to raising prices, problems with the supply chain, shortage of goods, and delays with shipping. That's why some officials are advising Americans to do their Christmas and holiday shopping early as available gifts may be limited or sold out. Of the 20,000 athletes who competed this week at Boston Marathon, many of them had run in other marathon before, but we would bet that far fewer had finished an Ironman triathlon, which a marathon after a 2.4 mile swim and a 112 bike ride, and that all got to be done in 17 hours or less. Now, if you factor in being featured on Sports Center and holding a Guinness World Records, you likely would whittle this field of athletes down to one that is named Chris Nikic. Here is his amazing story. Chris is changing the world. People treat me different, telling me that I can't do that or I can't do this. As he got older, he got every sedentary that when we got involved in the Special Olympic triathlon just as a way to get in the shape and have some fun. The first time he ever did in sprint was Special Olympic. He came in dead last. But you know what? Chris was happy. We just started measuring his progress 1% at that time. And the first year and a half, he made a great progress. He went from nothing to do a sprint 14-mile triathlon, and then a year later, 140 miles, and completed a full Ironman. The goals on November 7th were to complete the Ironman and such an honor. There's no roadmap with Chris. We have been seen a Down syndrome athlete operating at the brink of human exhaustion. The boy is the most instant for 8 hours. Chris' whole life he been told he wouldn't amount to much. I've got to get him across the finish line. At that time, I became the first person with Down syndrome to complete Ironman. It was life-changing. Chris Nikic can face adversity. He has adversity that knocks most people off the race under extreme conditions with a bike crash with cramping. I'm watching. The most special thing he could do is to be representative for a Special Olympics and continue to inspire others around the world, and that's opening all kinds of doors for him. I'm going to do the Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, Chicago Marathon. Chris' training is not so he can become a better Ironman. It's about he can really either an independent life or a semi-independent life. Then let them compete to extend their ability, but let's not decide what their ability is. I don't give up. Cool shots of big stuff getting demolished 10 out of 10. This used to be cooling tower data power station in the United Kingdom. Now you see them. Now you don't. Have you have them? Here you won't. You would. It was controlled implosion that brought down the remaining towers of a plant that were taken out of service 3 years ago. According to the New Week magazine, the towers each stood 374 feet tall and contained 11,000 tons of concrete. We just glad to democrate that you're sure not to be putting anyone in danger. If you looking to you a lot of banger to match that or tower, it's best to be sure there's no toes in the hole that could bubble the squeak when the fry up come down and threaten blood pudding. Yum, Who's hungry? Want to give a shout out to MC Grass High School today. Our viewers watching from Alberta, Canada. We hope all of you all come tomorrow for more CNN 10. Of course.